Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. Slightly later than advertised. Apologies for those that have been waiting. We've got comments flooding in already. Great to have you on board. I am joined by the boys, Kev and Martin. How are you doing, lads?
Grand, mate. Grand. How are you, Mark?
I'm still recovering.
Was it a big weekend, successful weekend as well, Martin? You kept your unbeaten run in at Villa Park going, mate. How did you enjoy it?
Oh, it was brilliant. I flew over I flew over Thursday night, and we got to the hotel, and it's really nice. It's the St. John's in Solihull, and then game night. I have to say, Villa Park under the lights is it's so different to like just going during the day. It does. Don't get me wrong. I get goosebumps every time I go to Villa Park, but during the day, during the night, it was just a different atmosphere. It was just hopping from minute one. And thankfully, when we scored after 2 minutes, the place was still hopping. I was just in awe. The only time I left my seat was just to go to the toilet at half time and came straight back. That was it. I was just in love of Under the Lights. And I got to see my family members as well the next day after. And I met my cousin's little daughter, Dolly. Oh, she was cute. She was deadly. Like, she had me wrapped around the little finger. I was chasing around the bar and everything. But it was a good weekend of football. Thankfully, Villa won. Got to see some family members and still recovering from the few beers that I've had from celebrating. But, good weekend overall.
Great stuff, mate. Great stuff. Can you echo the sentiments, Kev, about the atmosphere?
I was just getting caught up in Martin's weekend. Really, it was like
it's great.
It's like a Netflix documentary. That was. It was wonderful. Like up to family involved. I honestly think with Martin's unbelievable record down the Villa, that we all need to get together, all the friends of the pod. We need to get Martin a place in Birmingham, paid for, like rent free, and we need to get him a season ticket because I don't think there's many people that have seen Villa. Over what time frame is this, Martin? Five games unbeaten in how many years?
3
years. I don't think many people have seen us unbeaten in. I don't think I've seen two home games in a row. Let's not lose. So Martin, you are definitely the look of the Irish, mate. So long may that continue, mate. Long may that continue.
Yeah, and I'm actually thinking of going over for Paddy's weekend to go see them play against Bournemouth at home. So I'll probably fly in Friday morning, literally of Paddy's Day.
Yeah.
So that'll be a full day of drink. I'm Irish. That just happens. And then Saturday, and I'll probably see my family Sunday because my cousin has a cup final called the West Midlands Cup, I think. And go home on Monday.
I think Blues are in that, yeah. But yeah, the atmosphere was unbelievable. It feels like that message that Emery was asking has got through a little bit because even when we weren't playing particularly great, admittedly 1-0 up, we weren't playing great. There was still many cries of Emery's Clamp Army. So, and I think it made a big difference. And obviously, he did his post at the end, didn't he? From the, I think he was in the North Stand, wasn't he? So,
yeah,
really good.
Great stuff. We've got comments coming in. Someone's got their popcorn. Brush has got his popcorn ready. Football Power Hour says dropped his like already. Please, everyone, do leave a like on the video. And he's also subscribed as well. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe. Richard's glad he's caught us. Tiwan, come on, guys. We're on now. We're on. Alfie, good evening. Good evening to you, Alfie. Rachel's in the house. Hi, all. Duncan's in as well. And yeah. We've got the usuals in. Get your comments coming in. We're going to talk transfer roundup first because it's been an eventful couple of days at Villa, and the WhatsApp groups have been buzzing with activity. So let's talk about this one first. Danny Ings. Obviously there was rumours at the start of the window that he might be available for selection for transfer, and we kind of thought no, and then he started a couple of games, and then he came on and against Wolves and scored, played quite a few minutes against Leeds, but obviously the news came through today, and deal was done very, very quickly with West Ham. Looks like it's a £15 million deal in total, if all the add-ons are met. Kev, he kind of came in on a came in as a shock and then left very quickly as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's Villa doing their incomings and outcomings now particularly quietly, which seems to be a bit of a theme for the club. A West Ham mate of mine did send me a message saying apparently Moyes was asked what he wanted, and he said signings, and they literally did signings. So yeah, there you go. Look, there's been a lot of conjecture from a lot of people. I mean, even in our pod group, and Twitter's gone crazy. I tried to do my best to do a hilarious meme today, so if anyone hasn't seen it,
I seen that. I was laughing at that when we said.
Glad you liked it. Get it up, Richie, if you want. Show everyone. But basically, my perspective is that we've heard so much of the whole. We trust Emery. We're going to give Emery a chance. And we've talked about a lot on the pod that you've got to give it time for the process. And then you hear the age profile's too big in the squad. The Villa's age profile's gone crazy. Buying the likes of Digne and Coutinho. What are we doing? And then we sign a young, hot, highly rated striker at 19 years old. Sell someone who in less than half a year is going to be 31, who's only going to have a year on his contract left then. He's on 120 grand a week. And Villa Twitter goes absolutely ballistic. I mean, I get it. If we get to the end of the window and we don't bring in any more forward options, then I will be absolutely on that hill with all those people ready to fight. But give it a chance. I've got no doubt in my mind. Some of the links tonight already. Moussa Dembele, the Leon striker, who's obviously got a great scoring record, did great stuff for Celtic. Dan Juma's heavily linked. I'm very confident. Delafeu has obviously been massively linked. I'm very confident that we can't be so stupid to let Arch go out on loan in the window, to sell Ings to a potential rival recent years. Obviously not this season, but recent years definitely been ahead of us. And also to keep Keenan Davis on loan. We can't be that. And with Watkins maybe have an injury, that would be the definition of madness.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think Martin is right, isn't it? Kev's right. Ings, good player, and I think we'll go through the comments, but Rachel kind of sums it up. Ings was the right player at the wrong time, and he was a good player, Martin, but he just never quite fitted in, never quite cemented his place with the Villa.
No, we've seen glimpses of how good he actually can be, which was annoying for us Villa fans. Like, why can't he do this every week? And I just couldn't wrap my hand around it. For whatever reason, he didn't settle. Under Smith, he didn't settle. Under Gerrard, he didn't settle. And now Emery, that's 3 managers that he hasn't settled under. So I think a move is probably the best thing for both parties. And I do wish him well. I've no issues against him. I don't think any Villa fan has. I don't think Villa Twitter was even slating him for moving. It was just, I think it was mutual between everyone that, they wished him well. And you're not going to hold a grudge against him because it just didn't work. To get 15 million for him with 8 months left and potential £3 million in add-on if West Ham stay up, that's a good deal for someone who has 18 months left and he's 30, and he's probably on big wages for us. So to get him off the books, for me, is probably the best thing. It's just to get him off the books.
I can't understand any of this. It's not a good deal talk, because we've done so many situations where we've got players got to the end of their term, or you basically you're hamstrung by not being commercially savvy. And I think it would have been useful to keep a striker of his pedigree in the squad. But let's be clear, he wasn't really ever a starter. A couple of games he started and came in and never really did loads. I'm like you. I totally have got all the time in the world for Danny Ings. I think he's a stand-up bloke by all accounts. Particularly, it was great when he did that stuff, obviously, with the lad who was, with the neurodivergence. I think he was autistic, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. He wore the headphones. I think he's a great bloke. I think he scored some actually quite important goals for us. He's early part of Emery's reign as well. But he's clearly not going to be a starter in this system. And to get to the summer, and then he's only got a year left on his deal, well, you're going to get less for him then. If you don't shift him in the summer, he's maybe going to go for a couple of £1 million next January. So
what I will say is we'll all remember him for his goal against Newcastle.
Oh yeah, I mean he scored some crackers. He did score some cracking goals, and
I think I even seen that on Villa Twitter. Like, everyone was just saying, "Thank you, Danny Ings, for this goal," and that was it.
Yeah. I mean, some good memories, but I'm in agreement, and I think I guess the only slight kind of not concern, I guess that's the wrong word, but the only what would have made it perfect is that if we'd have got the player in before we let him go. But I'm also glad, that Villa actually have players with saleable value. Like, when we were in the Championship, we would just spend. We didn't make any money off any players. All our players were let go on free transfers, or we got loans in. And now we've got players who we can sell for money to then reinvest in the team. And I saw a tweet saying that, I know it's a £15 million deal, but because he had 18 months left on a quite hefty contract, it actually frees up just over 20 million for us to maybe get someone else in. So, that's the business that we've got to be looking at doing. If a player is surplus to requirements, even though they are in the first team and in and around the first team squad, we've got to sell them at the right time. So, I think overall it's a good deal.
And I know there's been a lot of talk. I know obviously Sam on our pods was a massive advocate for Ings over Watkins. I'm an advocate of Ings over Watkins in the right system. I think in a 2, I would think he would work really well. Whether that was Che Adams, when he was obviously at Southampton, whether it was, I don't know, was it Barnes maybe when he was at Burnley, or whoever was around at that point. I can't remember who it was at the time. I think he worked.
Chris Wood, I think.
Maybe Chris Wood, that system. And we've never played that system. It doesn't seem to be what he wants to do. And look, I think I disagree with Sam on this one, but Ings to feet isn't bad, but he hasn't got much pace. And when you knock him balls up, he's not holding on to it really that well. He's clever with link-up play, and he actually does surprise sometimes with his work rate, and he's maybe faster than you think. But I just don't think he's the physical profile of striker that we need to play that central role in a 3 at top. And that's the crux of it for me. Nice guy, great bloke. If we were playing him with a big striker next to him, which is not the modern way of football now anymore for most teams. I said to my mate who supports West Ham, I was like, I'd play him with Antonio. I think you'll get the best out of him in that situation.
Yeah,
don't play Ben Rama wide and Paqueta wide, and him on his own. He won't get the ball.
No. I mean, like I say, wish him well. Comments coming in. Duncan said, hope we get 1 or 2 more signings in this window. Deulofeu plus question mark. Barry, Ings never made sense in the first place. Always felt an odd purchase. Good deal for Villa. And Duncan also 100% trusts Emery. Richard says the same thing, 100% Emery. Tuan says, whatever Emery does, I'm all in until he changes my mind. Gary, hi guys. Look, Ings didn't make us any better. Did he? Any players in that bracket on big money need to go. And then Richard saying, get Coutinho out next, please. And then Villa Reaction says, question is, can Duran set up even at 19 to replace Ings? Watkins can't. So that brings me to my next point around sort of rounding up the general transfers. And we got a bit on one of the players that you mentioned earlier as well, Kev. But Jean Duran came in. I think it was an 18 million deal in the end. Colombian under 20 and one of the hot prospects in South Central American football. Rumored that Liverpool were interested, and we beat them to the signature. The Colombian connection we've got is of Juan Pablo Angel, who speaks very highly of him. I don't know how much of an endorsement that is, but
of course he does. He's not going to say rubbish.
Exactly. But I think he actually played with Juan Pablo Angel's son or something like that. Shows how old we are. But I mean, is it a one for now, like as Villa Reactions is sort of posing the question, or is he one more for the future?
I think we should save this chat until the morning after. Sorry, that was an easy gag. I don't think it is one for now. If it is, it'll be a surprise if they see something in him. I think it's one for the future. He's probably like a couple of years ahead of a Rory Wilson and a Louis Barry, isn't he, really? Physically, I think he looks ready. But to go from MLS, not playing loads of games, into the Premier League, in January is a baptism of fire. I guess Emery will see what he thinks. I wouldn't be surprised if we bring in another striker, a wide player, and it's Watkins and this other striker, as well as new wide player and Bailey playing those front positions. And Duran maybe even goes on loan, who knows? I mean, we'll see what happens. But I don't think he has been brought in as an Ings replacement, basically. I don't think that's what the plan's been.
No, I think Emery confirmed that today as such, but said that we're looking at options, whether that's now or whether that's the summer. But Duran could be involved in the squad at the earliest by the Leicester game on the 4th of February, because as Gary said there, he's hanging around at the club. He's not going to that under-20s tournament. So, Emery's going to take a look at him. It looks like it's a player that he was interested in previously at Villarreal. So he's got to rate him, hasn't he, Martin?
Absolutely. And I think, it's 3-2 Man City. I just think, just seeing it there, wow. For some reason, like you said there, Kevin, he's come from the MLS and, coming to the Premier League. It's a different type of league altogether. But it's these type of signings that just surprise you when they hit the ground running, because you're just seeing players, he's not going to adapt to the Premier League. It's going to take time. And it just hit the ground running, where some do take that time. I think he's one of them that could hit the ground running. I don't think he's Ings' replacement. Don't get me wrong. I think there probably is someone lined up. But I think he could hit the ground running. I do. And I hope he does, because that means then it just takes a little bit of pressure off him, maybe more pressure to demand more, but just takes that pressure off of having to, what could have been,
Yeah. I agree. I think it's good that we're signing this type of player. He looks strong. He looks quick. He's obviously going to have to take time, but sometimes young players, they've got that enthusiasm, haven't they? They play without that pressure. So
it's just that burst of hunger to want to prove something to somebody,
Yeah. Villa Reactions has put in Dembele. What are our thoughts? He doubts it'll happen. Tom Colomasi, friend of the pod, had mentioned that we're in talks now with him, whether we do a deal now or whether we wait till the summer, in which we can get him on a free. I think Everton are interested as well, so that might quicken it up a little bit. There he is. He's at Lyon currently. Just in terms of stats, if I just share some of the stats on him, just bear with me. I can't get off the screen. If I share some of the stats, we have. He's at Lyon currently, and actually his goal scoring record's pretty good.
He's out of favour at the minute, though, isn't he?
He's out of favour, yeah. And he went on loan to Atletico Madrid last season, didn't really work out. But if you're looking at his appearances to goals, 120 appearances at Lyon since 2018 and 55 goals.
Nearly every second game.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, prolific at Celtic, decent scoring record as a youngster at Fulham. Obviously, not been in the Premier League, around the Premier League for a very long time. He's only 26. As always, with anyone on Wikipedia, is 6 foot. But yeah, I mean, pedigree there. French under 21 international, 13 goals in 25 games. Never got into the full French team as maybe he's made squads, but hasn't actually made an appearance. But pedigree wise, seems like he's a decent goal scorer, Kev.
It does, but you wonder sometimes, like, if someone's out of favour at Lyon, how well are Lyon doing? Could they not do the striker that's got 1 in 2? It does surprise me sometimes when people get out of favour somewhere. You can never imagine, a Haaland or,
Sometimes it can be manager changes. They don't quite fit with what the manager wants to do, as we've seen with Danny Ings. But I mean, he didn't quite fit with any of the managers really. But you take my point. It's sometimes they just don't quite fit what one manager's doing or the person who brought them in. So
yeah, but they're mid-table, Leon. So I mean, you'd think he maybe could be useful. If he keeps that kind of scoring record for us, then I mean, it'd be absolutely phenomenal, wouldn't it? But even if he was getting 1 in 3, which was kind of what Ings was really, you'd probably take it. But if he was getting himself, I don't know, 13 goals a season. But yeah, look, see what happens. I mean, obviously there's only a certain type of player available in January. That's one thing we've got to be mindful of. Yeah. So you're paying over the odds. But I don't know. I don't know too much about him, but I remember him at Celtic, and I remember him obviously.
We were interested in him at one time when he was at Celtic, weren't we? I think when he was sort of banging in the goals at Celtic. Maybe it was around when we signed Watkins instead. But yeah, we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. Martin, what's your thoughts on Dembele?
50-50. I'm surprised he's actually 26. I thought he was older than that for some reason. I'm a bit 50-50 on him. It's not one I was expecting to see, because he's out of favour at Lyon. But if Emery, from what I've read, I think Emery is a big fan of his. So, and like I said, I'm in 100% trust of Emery. So if Emery believes he can do something for Villa, then by all means, I'll welcome him in with open arms, just like the rest of them.
Yeah, definitely. A few comments coming in. I think just on Duran, Gary said it took Angel a while. Richard said, "Look how much of a steal. Look how much Newcastle paid for Isak. I think it's a steal." And Duran will be back in the squad by the Leicester game. Gary said, "The higher up the table we get, the more attractive we will become." Absolutely. Goal record for Dembele, 1 in 2, as Duncan says there, which is decent. Richard said he's like a young Lukaku or an Anelka. He's heard him being compared to.
They're talking about you then?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But Bertrand Traore, I think he came from Lyon, and he's actually back at the club. He's got a I don't know how long term it is, but he's got an injury.
Yeah,
so
he's got treated.
We'll see what happens. So yeah, we've got some interesting times coming up. We've gone over Guendouzi, we've gone over De Deulofeu. It looks like we're in talks with him as well. Potentially they're asking for 20 million, but we'll see, and we'll do reaction shows, or we'll do kind of roundups on a little bit more once we get some more detail. Obviously, Freddie Gilbert's gone back to Strasbourg, I believe. I didn't realize he was 31 now. I'm sure I saw Gilbert was older. I don't know.
I thought he was 27, 28.
Oh, maybe he is.
I'm sure he's 30.
Okay, fair enough. I just saw somewhere that he was older, but
maybe sat in Villa's reserves. His age, maybe looks it.
Yeah. So yeah, he's 28. Sorry, my bad. 28.
I thought that all right.
Yeah. So yeah, wish him well. Obviously, I never really rated him, to be honest, but wish him well. See how he gets on back in France.
I thought he was okay.
Yeah, I just always thought he was so last ditch. Like every time he made a tackle, it was always a last ditch tackle, which shows to me that you're not reading the game very well. But yeah. We could see one or two other players leave, lads. We could, Sanson is obviously up for transfer. Nakamba is potentially up for transfer as well. So again, we can get money from these players, as saleable assets, which is what we can use to reinvest in the team. But again, we'll come on to that as and when they do move on. But I think we mentioned before, Kev, that a lot of players, I think Cash and Digne might be available. We did mention, there's only probably 3 or 4 players that are guaranteed to be in Emery's setup moving forward, and it's proven to be the case.
Yeah, absolutely, it should be. I mean, I think even the signing of Moreno, a year after we signed Digne, who's still the right side of 30, and all of a sudden we've signed whether it's a replacement or competition, it's a position we weren't expecting to strengthen. So I think he wants to play a certain way, and he can see, I'm sure he can see even better than we can, the personnel that he's got and whether it's good enough for the system he wants to play. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see definitely some more outgoings. He's been quite public, hasn't he? I think what Emery actually said about Ings was really nice in terms of making about the club and also the player. I think he's obviously clearly a good bloke, Emery, isn't he? And he's been the same about Sanson and Nakamba. They're free to find other opportunities, but also Sanson's had a bit of game time lately because we've had a few injuries, and has done adequately. He's not done too bad. So. But it's the ins that are exciting. You're all right. We've talked, to the nth degree, haven't we, about Deulofeu and all the other possible, Weston McKennie and Guendouzi. So there's probably a few teams looking to strengthen, and it's a great point, isn't it? I think with Duncan made about league position. Because we've been down there, haven't we, trying to get players in, and we ended up with Borja Baston and Mabwana Samata, Danny Drinkwater. We drank a bit more water. That's the pond we were fishing in. And now if you're Everton and West Ham, I mean, West Ham have got a decent deal for Ings, obviously. But if you're Everton and West Ham, you're going to be a much less attractive proposition now than Aston Villa are. And we're less attractive than Newcastle are. So that's just the game. We're more attractive than Leicester at the moment. So you've got to look at the profile with Emery and think that we've maybe got an opportunity to steal a bit of a march on some people if we're prepared to do the deals.
Yeah, agreed. There's a bit of debate in the chat. I'm not going to go through all the comments, but I'll get your opinion on it, Martin. There's a bit of debate in the chat about Philippe Coutinho and whether I think Villa Reactions is very much on Coutinho's side, and one or two others, Duncan and Rich, are sort of saying let's sort of cash in or get rid. What are your opinions on Coutinho?
At the start, we loved him. We did. I wouldn't sell him this month. If I was going to sell him, I'd sell him in the summer. Because if we're selling so many people, I just think a player of Coutinho's quality and knowing how good he actually can be, I don't think we should sell him this month just to keep around for the squad depth. And then sell him in the summer and have a complete squad overhaul and new people coming in. I'm very much of selling Coutinho, but just not this month. I'd rather see him go in the summer.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. He might, and he's been used one or two times by Emery. I know you think there's a player in there, Kev. There has to be a player in there. It's just whether you can get him on the ball enough and whether we can get him fit enough, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when he first came, it was like Christmas Day every day. When I saw him in a few games, it was just unbelievable. I still dream about that Leeds game, that 3-3 draw when he was like, doing body swerves and sending Luke Ayling to the shops, and then going the other way. He was amazing, but he's massively dropped off. No goals, no assists this season. I know he's not played too much, but I'm on the side of, give him a chance, see if we can get him where we need to get to. I agree with that comment. I think there is a player in there. I think he's looked pretty good in his cameos when he's come off the bench, and I mean maybe he'll be better with better players around him. Maybe he's one of those players who'll be better with better players around him. But yeah, then the other part is this. We've got a few years left on his deal, but he's the wrong age, isn't he now? So if you're trying to shift him on in 2 years when he's 31, 32,
his next club's going to be like where's Ronaldo gone? And it's going to be a club like that over in Saudi Arabia or in.
No, I think he'd go back to Brazil. I think
Brazil.
Gremio, like with Luis Suarez.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And a lot of people saying that it's the wages, and if you can get them off the wage bill, but we'll see. Guys, we're going to go into the preview for Southampton, but if you're on, please do leave a like on the video. Please subscribe if you are new to the channel. I think we're at 846 or something, so we've had some really good growth in the last few days. So close, getting closer and closer to the 1,000 mark, which would be amazing. So yeah, please do leave a like on the vid, help us spread the word, and subscribe if you are new to the channel. So we've got Southampton coming up on Saturday, boys. We'll go through stats shortly, but one or two injuries. Looks like Watkins has trained all week. Looks like Cash could be back in contention. One or two longer term injuries, obviously, and we'll get you predicted lineups. But it's a bit of a funny one, Southampton, isn't it? Because we've had good results against them at Villa Park. I think we'll go through the stats. We've beaten them, I think, once or twice at their place, but I've known some shocking performances at Southampton, and I think last season it cost Dean Smith his job, and they're on a bit of a buoyant run at the moment. Tough game to be expected, Kev.
Yeah, I think it's the wrong time to play Southampton. The FA Cup win, obviously great win against Man City, which was obviously massive, winning the league for the first time, in donkey's years, it felt like. And yeah, I mean, I think they've got their towels up, haven't they? They've got themselves a bit of parity. At the same time, I've seen the teams that are above them really struggle. So they didn't get too much daylight away, and one win in the first win in 5 or 6 games. And all of a sudden they're back on level terms with other teams around them. So they know at home, James Ward-Prowse in excellent form, really, really good form. I think he's one of the top scorers since the World Cup in all of the top European leagues. He's got 5 goals, I saw a stat. So he's going to be, he's got history against Aston Villa, 2 of the greatest free kicks I've ever seen in the game. In that unbelievable, ended up being a 4-3 win for them, but it felt like a 9-0 win for them. So basically they're going to go for it. And this is where you get your metal tested, because we've had a bit of an up and down time, in terms of our form at home, but we've been good away. but we've been good away against teams that are, Brighton would come at you, Spurs would come at you. Spurs, fine, that was a great performance, but it will be different against Southampton. I think that they'll come at us a little bit, but I think that we'll be expected to probably take the game to them, considering where we are. And how good are we at doing that? That's the question for me. So it's going to be an interesting one, really.
Yeah, I agree. Martin, I think it's Gary who said, why doesn't Ward-Prowse ever get injured? And obviously Kev mentioned there his free kicks and how dangerous they are, and that won them the game, as Duncan said, against Everton. We've just got to not give any stupid free kicks away, haven't we?
Absolutely not. No, just any stupid free kick, aiming towards the goal, even for a whip of a cross. Remember that goal against Wolves when it was like nearly 42 yards out? You can't even concede it from there.
Yeah.
Like, you just can't do anything. Like, and for why he's never injured, I think he just looks after himself really well, which is why he's injury free. And like for this game, Southampton don't really offer much apart from the James Ward-Prowse set pieces. I think that's what they rely on, and they've kind of relied on that for so many years that now it's kind of backfired on them. So they're sitting bottom of the table. I know they're level on points with 3 other teams, but it kind of goes to show that you can only rely on that for so long, that you need better players. You need to start playing football. Like James Ward-Prowse can actually play football, but because his free kicks are so good, it's kind of overshadows how much of a good footballer he actually is. So this is a tricky game because, like Villa, like Kevin said, when teams come up against Villa, we're really good at sitting back and catching teams on the counter. But for some reason, we just cannot seem to play against the teams that are lower against us in the table and trying to break them down. So I would much rather Southampton just let Southampton come at us, just like, bring it on, and we'll just catch Southampton on the break. I just think that works for us at the minute. So that's my take on that game. But, just don't concede any silly free kicks anywhere in the pitch for James Ward-Prowse to ping it in the top corner, and just make sure that we just do the basics like we did against Leeds, like we did against Tottenham, Man United and Brighton, and I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. Timon said she was listening to Southampton pod yesterday, and they said they can beat us because we are on a new manager bounce. Funny how they didn't get one.
It's been 6 games now, and
I think it's past that. I think it's past that now. Yeah.
You can forgive 2 games, maybe 3, but 6 games.
It's
far beyond.
Well, I do think there's a new manager bounce away from home. I think we'll be going there.
Probably potentially 3 away wins in a row, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it 3 away? Is it
Brighton, Tottenham?
Brighton, Tottenham.
Well, in the league, obviously we lost at United in the Carabao, but
league games. Yeah, sorry, you're right,
Rich.
So positive.
Absolutely, Kev. What I was gonna say around that in terms of like new manager bounce and tactically setting up. There's a couple of comments here around, stopping Ward-Prowse. Do we go for like sort of someone man marking him, i.e. Louise or Kamara, or do we just play our own game? Do you think Emery will put someone on him specifically to stop him?
I don't think he's that kind of like, rangy, skillful, speedy midfielder, like, going crazy. You have to put someone on him when he's taking his free kicks, ideally about 1 yard in front of the ball. I don't think he's necessarily going to cause too much. I think he's got a pretty good progressive passing range, but I wouldn't say he's any better than a lot of other creative midfielders in the league at that. It's the set pieces that he's deadly. The key thing is just don't, whether it's Ward-Prowse, whether it's Che Adams, whether it's whoever's playing in the team, Salisu on a forward burst, it could be anybody. You just need to make sure you don't give away silly free kicks. I wouldn't necessarily man mark him. I don't know whether he deserves that. Clearly, if he's causing trouble, you've got the person in Kamara and Louise to change it up, and I'm sure Emery won't be afraid to do that. But we just need to play our own game. That's what I think. Play our own game, play to our strengths. Hope obviously Watkins is back, which he's back in training by all accounts, so hopefully he should be. And play to our strengths, and obviously if they are going to come at us, get them on the counter again. But we've really got to understand now that that we've gotten a little run away from home, and that is a really, really good situation to be in, because if you can pick up points when you're under a bit of pressure, that's magic in this league. Absolute magic.
Yeah. Richard did say that Ward-Prowse playing a little bit further forward as a number 10, which is where he was getting into areas to hurt Everton the other day. But yeah, I do think if we play our own game, like you said, Kev, we've got a better side. We're in confidence. We're in form. We should be able to sort of push them and beat them with our game. Just going over some stats. So we'll share with you some stats here. So we have head-to-head. We've played 41 times against them, totally even in terms of wins. 16 for Villa, 16 for Southampton. We've won at their place 8 times. They've won at home 9 times, and we've drawn 9 games. So there's generally a result in this one, either way, in terms of victory. We beat them this season 1-0, which is possibly the worst game of football that's been known to man. Previously, last season at home, we beat them 4-0. We obviously, as I said, we lost 1-0 at St Mary's last season, which was Smith's last game. We beat them in lockdown 1-0. We lost that 4-3 game at Villa Park. I think Southampton played better than us in both those games, if I'm being honest. But in terms of form, they've just won in the league against Everton. Obviously, they came from behind to win that game, but previous to that, they've lost 4 in a row, including against Nottingham Forest, which I think Nathan Jones got a lot of flack for. We're obviously on a decent run. Of the last 5 games, 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat, so 10 points in the last 5 games. And as it stands at the moment, Southampton, the bottom of the table, only won 4 games, drawn 3 and lost 12. We're obviously in 11th position at the moment, and yeah, on decent form at the minute. So they do create quite a few chances, looking like they create more chances than us, but don't keep many clean sheets. We've only had 1 this season, so we've got to be looking to score goals. And yeah, hopefully Watkins can have his shooting boots on for once, Kev.
Well, hopefully, yeah. Anything could happen, couldn't it? Anything could happen. I think the comment, if you pop the last comment up there, mate, I think that sums up exactly how I feel about it. Gary, if we want to even think about the top 7, we have to beat Southampton and the likes. It's absolutely right. They are bottom of the league. Now, I appreciate they're on a bit of an upward trajectory, but they're still bottom of the bloody league after pretty much half the season. You know, we played West Ham when they were bottom of the league, and they haven't got much higher at the table, and they beat us at home. You know, we've struggled. I've mentioned too many times in this pod how much we struggle against lower teams. Emery's gone in there. He's hopefully changed the mindset a little bit of the aberration in the FA Cup aside. Let's show what we're all about. Let's make it about Aston Villa rather than about James Ward-Prowse. Let's make it about Buendia or Coutinho if he plays. Make it about Kamara bossing in the midfield, and Mings and Cons are being solid at the back, and Martinez claiming crosses, and Watkins taking some blinking chances if they come in. I'm more worried about Leon Bailey playing, really, because
if he scores, he makes you look worse. Yeah.
Bag of rebels, isn't he? It's a Maltese. Yeah. It's not. It's an orange one. Oh,
right. Well, let's get into your lineups then, lads. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Why not?
Go on then, Martin. I noticed your team today didn't have 2 Kamaras in it, so you definitely changed it up. So
I wish it did have 2 Kamaras in it.
Yeah, it'd be nice one of 2 Kamaras. It's the Kamara role now. It's not even the Kante or Makalele role.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's a good point actually. So yeah, talk us through that, mate.
I've gone with obviously Martinez and goals. He keeps his place. I just can't bring myself to drop Ashley Young at this minute. I just think he's been fantastic. So Moreno comes in for his first start. I'm not too sure what the situation is with Luca Digne being injured. Kamara Louise, pretty much the same. Buendia, I'd like to see Buendia in the middle now, and I'd like to see Bailey and Ramsey kind of switch sides. I want to see Bailey be more direct on a stronger foot on the left side of the pitch, as well as Ramsey, because he can really carry that ball forward. And then, obviously, unfortunately, I have to start Ollie Watkins because, as we all know, the man can't even finish a sentence, never mind a chance. So it'd be an interesting one, but I hope it works out. I really do, because it's one of them tricky games when you come against team bottom of the table.
Absolutely. I think with that formation, I quite like it. I do quite like it. It's just about getting bodies in and around the forward player and not leaving him isolated. So if we can do that, I think that works quite well, because Ramsey's good carrying the ball. Bailey on his left side can carry the ball, and then you've hopefully got Buendia who can get involved and get close to Watkins. So
Like I do
it's not,
see, like I do see more like less probably Buendia and Ramsey like just intercrossing between each other. Like where Buendia was shipped out to the right, while Ramsey just kind of comes into the middle. So I kind of see them two interchanging really, and then Bailey just staying on that left side, almost as like a left-sided forward rather than a winger. So it would, if that happens and we can get a good result, and then you can just start changing some players, getting some rest in before the game against Leicester.
Yeah. Villa reaction saying Emi Martinez in goal, Ashley Forever Young, Conte, Mings, Moreno, Luiz, Kamara, Coutinho, Buendia, Bailey, and Watkins. So not too dissimilar to your side. Kev, let's just go through yours, mate. Yeah, don't think that's too different. Yeah, slightly different formation and setup, but same players.
Yeah, I mean the formation. To be fair, I've just squeezed him in there. But no, I mean I think I've probably got Ramsey. I'd probably play Ramsey. I don't know. Maybe Ramsey and Buendia you'd swap because maybe Buendia's a bit more creative. But I don't know. I think Ramsey driving from midfield can get involved in the game a bit more. I mean, I do wish I had other options to put in this team. So I think it kind of picks itself. The only question mark for me was possibly Coutinho or Buendia, based on the fact Buendia has not been amazing lately. I think the fullbacks pick himself because of Dini's injury and because I think Young's just on form is a better one. I think the centre-halves pick themselves. The goalie clearly does. The double pivot in midfield clearly picks itself. We've got no other strikers, so that picks itself. Bailey, we've got no other wingers, so that picks itself. So really, is it Buendia or Coutinho? Unless you go a bit crazy and like bringing in the Canberra out the cold. So, yeah.
Well, to be fair, those teams 4-2 to City. Wow, those teams should, and that team should, like the two teams that you've picked, boys, they should be able to create chances. Like they should. It's whether we can put them away, but also like that defense, should be able to keep Southampton at bay. So. We've got to be going into it with confidence. Even those two and said that pretty much that starting 11 does pick itself at the moment. Yeah, so we've got to be going in with confidence. A few people asking about McGinn. He's out for 2 more weeks at least. So yeah, that's going to be one, and obviously Dini's out as well. So I think Cash could be back on the bench, but I agree with you, lads. I think Young deserves his start. Unless he's carrying a knock, then he deserves his start. He deserves his shirt. So. We'll see. We'll get your score predictions in a second. Everyone else, get your score predictions in the chat. Just one more plug for the show, please. Like I say, everyone says, please leave a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel. It'd be great to hit 850 after today's show. If you haven't seen it, please do check out our show that we did with Gareth Cooper, the football analyst. Really good show. And every time we've done a show, it's not on we haven't missed them out on purpose, but it's always been a talking tactics show after a victory. And they're always so interesting to see how Emery sets up, because it's always been slightly different, whether it's been Brighton, whether it's been Tottenham, or whether it was Leeds. It's always been slightly different how we've set up, and some of the data that he gets and the still images he gets and the way he explains it is really, really helpful. So do get a chance. If you do get a chance, please do check out that video. Boys, what are you saying then for your score predictions? I'll come to you first, Martin. What are your thoughts?
3-1.
3-1.
3-1.
Who's getting the goals?
Bailey, Kevin's favourite player.
I'll get 6, I reckon.
I'm going to go Jacob Ramsey. And I'm going to go for a goal from Moreno. I'd like to see Moreno get a goal.
I like it.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but it'll be a James Ward-Prowse free kick for Southampton if it is a goal. So,
that's the banker bet, isn't it? Ward-Prowse any time or something. Definitely.
That's the banker.
Yeah.
Put your house on it.
Yeah.
No, don't put your house on it though, folks.
No, don't. Duncan says 3-1 Villa. Gary said no silly predictions, please. I think Kev, you've already won that one. He says, you said Bailey's going to get 6.
Yeah, I was just being stupid.
Yeah, one goal in it either way. Rachel says 1-1. She's got a slightly bad feeling about this game. Richard Edwards says 2-0 Villa win, clean sheet. Bailey and Moreno scoring. Villa reaction says 3-0 Southampton. Don't hate me. It's just we're in our third kit. I did see that record that came through in our third kit. I think we've only beaten. I only think we've won once. I think it might have been Burnley that we won in our third kit.
Well, Emery's here to break the course. Emery's here to break that course.
Let me add to that point as well, because I was going to literally say that what Villa Reactions said there. Not only is the third kit, we never win in the third kit. Oh, but we beat Burnley in it. Yeah, but we also crocked Wesley and Tom Hitton out for the season. We never saw him again. So
yeah, that's true.
Game, but like our two big summer signings basically were gone forever on that game. So I don't think we've got any luck in our third kit. But Mark, I'm glad you said it. We don't beat Man United at home. Oh, under Emery we do. So third kit, first time under Emery. I've got a good feeling about this now. I'm going to go 2-1 Villa. 2-1 Villa. Leon Bailey's going to try a crossfield pass and it's going to fly into the top corner. So that'll be the first one. And then he'll swing for it with his left foot and it'll bounce and ricochet off his shin and it'll go in the bottom corner for the second one. So Bailey's going to get a brace in a 2-1 win.
You're going to go for a Bailey brace?
Wow. I like it.
If he gets a brace,
I've got about as much idea as he has. So
if he gets a brace, I want you to apologise for how bad he's been over the last few weeks.
Apologise on his behalf for how bad he's been. I'll happily do that. Sorry, everyone, you got to watch the inconsistency.
No, I want you to apologise for you slating him on how bad he is.
Right, I think I've been quite kind to him, to be fair.
Yeah.
No, I think it'll probably be a bit of a counter-attacking situation, and you got to pick someone, haven't you? So I don't trust Watkins to score, so I've got to pick someone else.
Well, I'm gonna go. I think it's going to be a tight game. I'm going to say 1-0. 1-0 win. I think I'm going to say Tyrone Mings from a corner. I think we're going to score from a corner for once.
You got to have a bet on that. Tyrone Mings.
Yeah.
Tyrone Mings, only goal scorer, 1-0 win.
Would you not say Douglas Luiz from the corner, no?
No, not. I don't know if that's going to happen again.
I think since Alicia Lehman and him have separated, he's stopped going for it from the corner. I think he was doing it to keep her happy because he's not tried it since, has
he? She was going to the game.
He was just showing off, wasn't he? Yeah, showing off.
She wants me to do it.
Yeah. Tiwan said she's going 2-0. Martinez is due a clean sheet. Gary's there. It's all in the mind. It's all in the mind of third kit rubbish. So we've got to do it. We've got to do it. Right. I think that's it, lads. So, we'll see what happens tomorrow with regards to the transfers. You never know. We could have a new player in our ranks. Who knows? Could be Deulofeu, could be Dembele, could be anyone. We don't know.
It's Aston Villa. We could have a new player in our ranks right now, but we're not looking.
Exactly. They could be announced at 10. So, it's going to be interesting times, and we'll be back to review the Southampton game, hopefully after another positive result and gets us right up that table. We seem to be winning, but just staying where we are. So, hopefully we can get up that table. And we'll be back with Bodymore Bulletin Roundups. We'll be back with Talking Tactics. As I've said, please do like the video. Please do subscribe to the channel. Help us on the list. As I said, please, we all follow the Villa. See you later, everyone. Bye-bye.